$5,000, $10,000, $15,000 big rent stimulus, utility stimulus being paid to viewers of this channel. Meantime, stimulus checks as much as $2,000 landing from cities and counties across the country? Yes. Breaking news across the board today as stimulus checks are landing from people other than Congress, who just simply can't get anything together. States and cities and counties are now paying stimulus to you. A stimulus check, that's the first one. Second, they're paying rent stimulus, that's the second one. Third, utility companies are paying utility stimulus, that's the third one. And the exciting great news after that is that private organizations, which I'm going to cover in this video, are also paying stimulus as well. This is all exciting great news as Congress has problems getting their stimulus together, but I'm going to detail what they're expecting to give you. Hazard pay, PUA, FPUC, all those incredible details. What about EIDL? And what about the CDC grant? And what about all those other grants? Well, they're not coming this day, they're not coming tomorrow, but what the viewers of this channel are getting is money right now. $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. It's really exciting. As more states across the board are expected to announce additional stimulus checks in the next few days, this is CARES Act 1 money, but they got to use it or lose it. But I'm not losing you, you're not losing me. This is a great afternoon's broadcast of Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad you joined me and so exciting today for a big broadcast of Purple. With breaking news across the board with new states issuing stimulus checks, new counties issuing stimulus checks, and then we have organizations, cities and counties, and states issuing rent stimulus checks as well. Boy, suddenly there's so many stimulus checks you can't keep track of them. I'll be going over all of them and making them very simple in this video, so please subscribe. No one's fighting around the clock to get you money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe. Also hit the alert button. I have no less than 15 incredible volunteers that are helping viewers on the community page every day get rent stimulus, food stimulus, utility stimulus. Now, for that one viewer who reached out and said, I want stimulus to buy a PlayStation, this is the wrong channel for you. No joke that someone actually thought that's what we do here. We don't do that. But we are absolutely incredible in getting almost everything we can get. One of the hardest things we've not been able to get is toys for anyone 16 years or older during the holiday season. If you know anything about that, certainly send me a DM about that. But everything else, we're getting it and getting it right now. So please subscribe. Also like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In this video, I'll be going over the states that are sending out stimulus checks, the counties and cities that are sending out stimulus checks. Then I'll go to the cities and counties and the organizations that are paying for rent. You'll get them all in this recording. Get a pen and paper ready because there's going to be a lot of them. Then I'll be covering the cities, counties, and states that are paying rent stimulus as well, and utility stimulus. Then I'll be turning back to Congress. Guess what? The people who aren't giving stimulus, the people are just sort of giving a lot of press releases all the time. I'll be covering what they're going to do in January because they're not giving you stimulus right yet. Well, except the CR, and the stimulus check. But the big things like EIDL grants, CDC grants, hazard pay grants, food grants, utility grants. I'm going to go over all that as to what later in this video as to what's happening in January. Really exciting news for that. It's just not happening right now. And also the SSI and SSDI grant. Oh my goodness. All right, with that, you ready? Get that pen and paper. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that I have all the details for you right now, so let's get going. First, state stimulus checks coming out. Minnesota, $500. Maine, $600. Colorado, $375. New Mexico, $1,200. Oregon, $500. North Carolina, $335. City of Houston, $1,200. Austin City, $2,000. Pending Pennsylvania, also pending potentially New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware. Again, these are stimulus checks. Next, county stimulus checks. Jacksonville, Orange for Florida, and Nome, Alaska, also pending. Escambia County in Florida, Fort Worth in Texas, and Gadsden County in Florida. These are stimulus checks. Cities and counties and states are sending out stimulus check to viewers of this channel. And this is money you don't have to apply for. It would just land. More states are going to be issuing stimulus in the next couple of days. I don't know who they are. Ultimately, when they're announced, I'll deliver them on camera. And there you go. Now, let's turn to rent stimulus. Let's first do the rent stimulus from city, counties, and states. Rent stimulus is being issued across the board. This is stuff you actually have to apply for. This is not automatic. And this is big money, $5, $10, $15, $20,000. Okay, who's giving the rent stimulus? San Diego County, Nashville City, City of Atlanta, counties across all of Georgia like Gwinnett and DeKalb, Harrisburg, PA, Nashville, Tennessee. Really exciting. Then let's turn to utility stimulus. How do you get the utility stimulus? Most of the utility companies are doing utility stimulus. You just got to call them up and say, I need assistance with my utility bill. But then there's privates. Who are the privates? And what are privates? I'm referring to the nonprofit organizations, long-standing, well-regarded, very well-respected, 100-year-old proximate national charities that are doing stimulus. And what are they doing? They're paying for rent. They're paying for utilities. They're paying for food. They're paying for gifts. Depends on the city, depends on the county, and the state. But they're doing things across multiple states. First, let me do the state-by-state details, and then I'll get to the broad coverage of the entire country. First, in Mississippi, viewers have gotten rent paid by Mercy House, Home Saver, and Salvation Army. Another viewer got rent paid in Mississippi from MSHDA Eviction Diversion. In Philadelphia, there's about $4 million in stimulus that's coming. But in Indiana, viewers have gotten rent paid by IndianaHousingNow.org. And they've also gotten rent paid in Indiana by calling 211. In Las Vegas, viewers have gotten rent paid by Clark County Services. In Kentucky, they've gotten utilities paid by Community Action. In Pennsylvania, they've gotten rent paid by United Way. In New York, they've gotten rent paid by One Shot. In Michigan, they've gotten rent paid by Salvation Army. And in Arizona, they've gotten rent and utilities paid by New Leaf. In Georgia, they've gotten rent paid by United Way. In Nebraska, they got paid by United Way. And then one person got their mortgages assistance from 877 Get Hope, a part of the United Way framework. Then in Rhode Island, one viewer got rent paid by Crossroads. Another viewer got rent paid in Delaware by calling 211. One got it paid in Texas by calling 211. And one got paid by calling El Paso by calling Project Bravo. Viewers got heating paid by Heat, and another got rent paid in Rhode Island by calling the Rhode Island Housing Authority. Viewers also found relief by going to military1source.mis. Then it continues. More exciting news as well. Some viewers got rent the following ways. One viewer got rent paid in Texas by St. Mary Magdalene. One viewer got rent paid in Kentucky by Community Ministries. One viewer got rent paid in New Jersey by United Way. Another viewer got rent paid by Community Action in Ohio. Then a viewer in Massachusetts got rent paid by Interfaith Social Services. One got rent paid in Phoenix by TCDC. And one got paid rent in New Jersey as well, but my notes are I can't read my own writing. Can't be perfect all the time. So there you go. Really exciting, great news. Now, how about nationals? National charities, as you see, may have appeared in several states when I was going through that list. And who are these national charities? The following national charities have paid viewers rent in different states, and so you need to consider them potentially as well. They are Community Action, United Way, Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. All really exciting for rent, utilities, food. Also for toys, if you have children 16 years or younger, toys are being provided apparently in some cases by Lions Club, United Way, Salvation Army, and Toys for Tots. If you know anyone that's providing toys for adults or anyone over 16 years of age, DM Lalate or DM at Twitter on Instagram, Lalate_, because we're having problems finding that as well. There's no less than 15 volunteers on this channel that are working around the clock to ensure that you get this money. And ultimately, the way you find this money for cities, counties, and states is you reach out to these organizations, you call your city hall, you call your county hall, you call your state housing authority, and reach out to them. If you've tried that, if you've made the effort, please make the effort first. You made the effort, you can't find it, then reach out to the volunteers. The volunteers are on the community page. The community page is both in the pinned comment to this video and also in the pinned link above if you're watching this video on a computer. That's news.lalate.com/community. It's a page that separates the volunteers from Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You'll see when you land on that page, it has a picture of some animals. So that's all exciting, great news. Now, what about the other money? The other money. Well, $2,400 of SSI and SSDI, yeah, that would be on top of this. That would come in January from Joe Biden. A standalone bill, presumably, that would have three provisions in there. One, a stimulus check that would land, that would not be one check, but basically payments every month. $200 land on top of your benefits every month. From January to December, about $2,400. As much as $4,000 under the Warren plan. Then a step up, as high as 20% lifetime. Then also the ability to have your benefits raised annually by tying it to a new benchmark other than COLA. All real exciting. So what else? So what else is coming on the pipeline? Well, in January, Joe wants to give you EIDL, 2 rounds of it. One to fix up the EIDL that you currently have. Some viewers never got the EIDL grant. Even though they got their application in on file, they closed it down. They ran out of money. So those people, and also the people who applied but only got $1,000, the remainder of the $10,000 grant, presumably being paid for as well. Then new EIDL applicants. PPP, yeah, PPP is going to likely land in this week's CR continuing resolution. How about hazard pay in January in the big stimulus package? That would be about about $13 an hour, taking your number of hours from January up to 60 days after the pandemic ends. But what's important to understand is Joe would have to get the Senate to fall both seats to the Democrats to see the full payout that was originally devised for hazard pay. $10,000 hazard pay, I don't see that happening if one of the seats remains Republican. I don't see that if the Republicans remain in control of the Senate. You would see hazard pay, but a smaller number is my prediction. CDC grant, yeah, that would still survive. That's a grant for frontline workers. The amount is not known, but it's a CDC underwriting instrument. Really exciting news. Then also, what else? There would be a food stimulus, and there would be a rent stimulus. The design for the rent stimulus is that you would get paid rent somewhere near when the eviction moratorium is lifted. Now, we don't have an eviction moratorium as of December 31st. That's the video right before this. We have to have an eviction moratorium. It's about to expire in late December. There are proposals this week talking about rent stimulus. I don't see that ever happening. And what's important to understand is that rent stimulus, like hazard pay, like food stimulus, is, when we're talking about the federal government, is just a slow process. Why is it slow? Because they got to set up the agency. Then you got to apply to the agency, unless it's hazard pay where the employer applies. Awful. And then you get the money routed back to you. In the case of state stimulus, when we're talking about rent, utilities, food, this is a very quick turnaround. We're getting viewers money right now, emergency money. In addition, if you're homeless and some of these organizations are also paying for rent, first, last, security deposit. That's what's also incredible, great news. It's all reassuring. So what should you think about when you're doing this? What you should think about is ultimately shooting for the rent stimulus. That's the big money. It's 6 months, it's 12 months, it's a lot of rent. Then you should focus on the utilities. It's generally a few months, and it's generally not $100. There's a lot more than that. Then after that, focus on the stimulus check. Ultimately, I remind viewers every single video, don't focus on the state stimulus check, because the state stimulus check is the smallest of all the items I talk about on this channel, unless if you're in Austin. Why would you be excited about $300 state stimulus check when you could be getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for rent? Why be excited about something that Joe Biden is promising you in January to land potentially in a bank account in March, when you could be getting $5,000, $10,000 right now with the things that I'm detailing on this video? What's important to understand is that none of the things from your state have anything to do with Congress. whatever Congress does this week or doesn't do, has no impact on getting this money for your states. Finally, I'll always have people that say, well, is there going to be a stimulus check for my state? Is there going to be a stimulus check for my state? I only know what has been announced. This is sort of like Home Depot. All the lumber's in the front of the room. All the lumber's on the floor. There's no extra lumber back in the back room. So it's not like I'm hiding an extra state in the back room and I'm about to announce another state tomorrow. No, all I know is what I know. Ultimately, a lot of these states have eligibility issues and also have routing time issues. Those you need to check locally for those details as well. What's important to understand is that when you're applying for these things, if something puts you on a waiting list, don't accept that as sufficient. Look for something else as well. Don't sit and wait because you reached out to something. And also, when you're reaching out for the city, state, or local stimulus, rent stimulus, or utility stimulus, don't use words like rent stimulus for SSI or rent stimulus for seniors. Just ask the word rent stimulus. I'm having problems with my rent. It's as easy as that. If you have questions or comments today, so drop them in the comments below. I'd love to feature them in tomorrow's recording. Then, meantime, join me on Being a Mitch, which is right after this recording. It's live. I'm here. You're there. That is our live recording every afternoon that covers your questions about unemployment, UI, PUA, FPUC, and more. Then join me back here on Evenings Check at about 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where I go over the big developments on what's happening with your stimulus check for Congress today. And then I return again on air at about 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time at night for Purple Power Live, the live version of this recording, in which I answer your questions live on air about CARES Act 1 and grants like this and free stimulus coming from states, cities, and counties. As always, Dan Fulham, stay smiling, stay in my life for more.